All right, last video in our series here. This is the orange team with the drone view. And the drone view takes an earlier view of the sequence. So instead of going from when you were reporting in, it's actually from the setup. So I appreciate that. I get to see what's going on here. And again, we don't have sound, but you get to listen to my wonderful critique the whole time. Oh, well, isn't that nice? Gee. Okay. So, obviously, I have no idea what the discussion is, but so if you look, the first squad leader here is putting her arm up to get her distance, but as I was talking about in one of the other videos, you need your arm's length plus 6 inches. You have to add 6 inches. I can go into the wheres and wherefores of that, but just suffice it to say you have to have that 6 inches, because when you turn from column formation to line formation, you've lost that. It's about 6 to 8 inches. Actually, 8 inches is probably going to be better. However, the standard and the Army is the only one that states this, is that you have to have that 6 inches. And one day I might do a video on formation measurements and how it's kind of odd. All right, so, and like I said in another video, you have some, you're lining up at a bit of an angle, and Commander, you're showing the back of your hand way too much. Should be a slight angle. But then again, oh, this shows some decent hustle here, and you're not working that strange timing either. The other commander, execute that first count of the facing movement, and then pause for a second, then execute the second count of the facing movement, and I know you're doing the same technique to fall in, but it's not the proper technique. So guide on, don't measure it off. Okay, so second squad leader, you did this, you put your right arm up. It's not the right arm, it's the left arm actually. And I know he's getting ready to do the stomp. I can see that there, and that's not the technique. You dropping your arms. You all need to do this individually. It's not a team effort here. You're stylizing the fall in process, and that's stylizing the fall out process with the step back and the about face. In no entity in the U.S. military has that ever been done, except at military schools mostly, and then cadet programs have adapted into using that. So that's neither here nor there. But the fall-in process, we're specifically told to hold that arm up until somebody touches the fingertips, and then you drop that arm. And if you want to drop them individually in sequence, fine, but you still do that as soon as somebody touches your fingertips. You got to drop it. But anyway, going back to second squad leader here. Second squad leader, you put your right arm up, and then that's fine for just you to get that distance at first, but you have to have an arm in 6 inches. Again, it should be the left arm, but you have to have that added 6 inches. Don't put your fingertips on the individual's back that's in front of you, because that's not going to work. You're already too close. I can see it right now. And then drop your arm. But you should be doing this only at first, only to get your initial visual memory established. Once you do that, you're not supposed to put your arm up in front of you. That's not a technique that takes place. Oh yeah, the count off. We count off by ranks and not individuals. So, and I'll state this for this commander. You move into position on the open ranks. You face the rear of the platoon. Once you halt, you execute a right face. You should be centered on. Once you do that right face, should be centered on the element. Sorry, that's an Air Force term. You should be centered on the squad. And then you take one left step, align everybody by the heels. Once you're finished aligning, then you take a step back to centered. You execute a face in march to the left, a couple of steps, stop aligned with the next squad, face right, take a left step, align, step back centered, and then since you only have the two squads, then you're going to take a face in march to the right, take your number of steps up 3 steps beyond the first squad, and continue on. So the stepping back and forth and backing, and now this is just way too long. And it's not a facing movement, and then a step off. Oh, and if you notice here, not touching. Everybody needs to touch fingertips. Everybody. And that's the Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard way. And then once you give right up front, then you give cover, then everybody moves. Army, Air Force, and Space Force don't do that. Only the first squad, the first element, touches fingertips, then everybody aligns to the right by turning their head, but also they look to the front and align. And only the Army and Air Force and Space Force either leave a gap, but that's only in subsequent squads, not in the first. The first squad always touches. Subsequent squads either leave a gap or they put the arm behind, or the hand behind the shoulder, so that alignment to the front is maintained. Army, Air Force, and Space Force then therefore never say cover after ready front. And we'll skip all this. I have to say that execution is very sharp. The whole team is quite sharp. Now, so again, assuming we're following the Marine Corps order, and that means that the elbow is going to be in line with the shoulders. If you draw a line through the shoulders, then the arm extends that line out, and then you salute this way. And if hopefully you can see it there, my upper arm is in line with my shoulders, not just my shoulder. I can have my arm and my forearm anywhere, and it's in line with my shoulder, my one shoulder, but it has to be in line with the shoulders, keeping a straight line across. Upper arm is horizontal, and then since I'm wearing glasses here, my middle fingertip touches my glasses. So that's the Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard salute. Army and Air Force will slightly have that the elbow in front of the torso. So what we have here is variation of technique. Her elbow is slightly in front. His elbow is definitely in front, and that might be because he's in Air Force GROTC or something like that. But then you have to understand that once you get into this environment, salute technique needs to change. So everybody's salute technique here is almost on point. I want to watch the guide on bearer here. Okay. And then look at the variation of the spacing of the feet. And that's the exhibition movement there. Good hand flips there, guidon bearer. But remember that arm that I talked about. Arm has to reach across. Your finger's going to point toward the left hand finger is going to point towards the right thumb, and then lift up so that the left forearm goes horizontal. And this is just really strange. Going from normal interval to close interval, and then back to normal interval. That doesn't happen in any military service. We close and extend, and that's it. Arm swing looks very consistent. Shoulders aren't moving around, except first squad leader. Your shoulders are moving back and forth just a little bit. Going back and forth like this. Just a tiny bit. Oh, second squad leader. You have a feminine arm swing, which is not a horrible thing. It's just not a good thing for a military formation. So let me show you. There. Oh, crud. It didn't... See how it swings? Well, crud. I can't stop it at the proper time. But you look at your left arm, and it's swinging out. Let me move this. It's not swinging behind you. It's swinging out here, out to the back. So arm swing needs to swing straight out to the front and then straight to the back. And yours is swinging out to the side. And that's just a learned habit that you developed while walking. And that's fine for girls, not a big deal at all. It's just that you need to now understand how to apply different muscle memory. Commander, you're extending your shoulders like this for your arm swing. Stop doing that. Keep your shoulders still. Let's watch you again. I know I'm picking. Now watch here. Push, 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 push. You're pushing forward. You actually might be twisting just a bit at the waist for your arm swing. And like I told the other team, don't pin your arms on the pivots. Only the Air Force and now Space Force does that. Everybody else swings their arms through pivots. On the rear march, all you do is ensure that your arms don't swing out from your body. Nice thing about both of the teams is you didn't creep. So while you mark time, your feet are much too high. Many of you, much too high. You're only supposed to pick them up a couple inches off the marching surface. But a lot of people will creep forward. They'll actually march forward as they mark time, but it's just tiny, just not even inches forward with each step. Now, alignment here, as you went out, maybe I can hold it there. See the alignment? All three of you here, and possibly here. Now, alignment when all shoulders are square together, that's easy. That's not a problem once you get an understanding of it. But as soon as you move to alignment like this, when shoulders are not square together, then it becomes very strange. And we have a tendency, and I'd love to be able to draw. Let me see if I can do it with my hands. Okay, so we have two people facing the same way, and now they're marching the same way like this, but they're marching at an angle. So what we have a tendency to do is to move like this, because we're either like this or we're like this. We're hardly ever, except in exhibition drill, like this at an angle. So that 45-degree angle tends to have people either drop back or move forward so that they align back to together, shoulder to shoulder. So marching like this, you actually have to draw a line in the middle of an individual. So the middle of the head to the middle of the head, and it can be a challenge. It can definitely be a challenge. So there looks like there might be some of that going on a little bit. Yeah, so when you... Okay, so now I love the drone view. I love the drone view on this. All right, from here. Now watch this. See how there's a huge gap with first element or first squad leader coming out, and then the squad leader moves, not the squad leader, the guidon bearer moves over to her right for this move, the counter column. I suggest, though, I like how you have the guidon in the middle. That works well. But what I suggest is that you keep the guidon here and have this squad, second squad, as they're coming around, they're going to move in. Can you see the arc that I'm making with my, not necessarily a follow the leader of the last rank of first squad, but you're going to have keep the guidon bearer there, have her moving forward. That's pretty much a decent distance right there for the guidon bearer squad leader moving right behind, instead of having you're creating a huge gap and then you have to close the gap. So instead of doing that, it can just be a simple process, really, of having the second squad leader just move in. No pivot. You just move in right behind and scoot around the last member of the first squad, and then the other two, they just instead of coming around in an arc, they cut their arc really close. She's a bit too close here, but as she's coming around to about here, then she can start moving in this way. He'll just almost face to the left, just about, as everything progresses. I really think that would be a better way to reform the group. It's a stylized counter column, and I like it. I think it's great. It's a nice idea. And having the guidon bearer in the center really works well. It's just that I don't think the outcome is exactly what you want, with that enormous gap and having first squad to come back over. I think it can be much... See how everybody comes right back over, and they're still, even 2, 3, 4 steps later, they're still getting back into line. I think you can eliminate all of that problem by just having that... Well, I'm not even going to use my hands there. I can't even. But I hope if I haven't explained the process well enough, then let me know, Dan, and I'll. Yeah, everybody's adjusting, and that doesn't have to be at all. And the pivots aren't necessary either. So, Commander, you should have been centered instead of having to take those side steps. And remember, this is for both commanders. Every single time the platoon stops, every single time. Oh, that's when the drone was in the camera view, the other camera's view. Every single time the platoon stops, then you need to ensure, Commander, that you face the platoon, the formation. Or maybe this is where it was. The drone is so helpful. I really appreciate having that overview. That really works well. All right. So as I was saying, if my strange explanation didn't didn't really work all that well, as far as you understanding the counter column, let me know, and then I'll draw it out for you, and give you hopefully give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. And well, there you go. Thanks. I hope all of my comments have been helpful, and I can't wait to see the development of the routine or both routines as you progress. Thanks a lot.